Greetings fellow humans and welcome to the Renaissance Yorkshireman podcast. Today's narrative is about non-state forms. So the first question you are probably asking is, what on earth is a non-state form? Well, according to anthropologist Elman Service, there are three types of non-state forms. They are a band, a tribe and a chieftain. And a band is approximately 6 to 60 people, so one family or several families living together. A tribe is approximately 60 to 300 people, and a chieftain is anywhere from about 500 to 5,000 people. So Dunbar's number would be a medium-sized tribe, and Plato's number would be a large chieftain. When a group of humans becomes larger than 5,000 or so people and reaches maybe 10 to 15,000, it's pretty much impossible to organise that number of people without some kind of formalised government, and there is some justification for the state with groups of 10,000 or more. Before we look at some examples of non-states and some of the advantages and disadvantages, it's worth taking a look at human history. According to the National Geographic, a minimum of 200,000 years ago, but possibly 250,000 years ago or even longer, there were anatomically correct Homo sapiens roaming planet Earth, our human ancestors. For most of the time that humans have roamed planet Earth, there have been no states. As far as the mainstream historical and archaeological analysis goes, the first state arose about 6,000 years ago in Sumer, in what is today modern-day Iraq. And some people started to come under the control of one state or another. But it wasn't until around the time of the Roman Empire, 2,000 years ago, that more than half of the planet's population came under the direct control of the state. And it's only really in the last 600 or 700 years or so that more than 99% of humans have come under the direct control of the state. And today, more than 99.9% of humans come under the direct control of one state or another. The few exceptions that do exist are people like Kalahari Bushmen and people who live in remote areas of Papua New Guinea. Given that it's only in the last 2,000 years that more than 50% of the planet's human population have come under the direct control of the state, it's only 1% or less of human history that more than half of people have come under the control of the state. So the state is an incredibly new development, and non-state forms have a much longer history than states. And it's my belief, and I believe this is borne out by the evidence, that therefore non-state forms do confer particular advantages that are not available to states. In a post-capitalist analysis, we should accept the existence of both states and non-states. Some examples of non-states today include Tomera in Portugal, Auroraville in India, and there's networks of eco-villages and smart villages in different countries around the world. Although it is the case that if you live in an eco-village in, say, France or Spain or Canada, that the state could come into your non-state and arrest you and throw you in prison. One of the arguments put forward by anarchists and libertarians in favour of living in non-states and against the state is that the state can be taken over by individuals with the dark triad of psychopathy, narcissism and Machiavellianism, or psychopathic individuals in general. We don't have to look very far for examples. Historical examples include Chairman Mao in China, Stalin in Russia, Hitler in Germany. More modern examples might be Pinochet in Chile or Boris Johnson in the United Kingdom. And it's very easy to see that when groups of people with these psychopathic characteristics get in control, they will exploit the state so that they can get away with corruption. It's easy to see when these types of individuals with either psychopathic and or narcissistic traits get in control of the state, they will use the state to project their power and to maintain their power, and they by any means necessary. What then are some advantages of the non-state? Well, one of them is that decision making can be made locally. So if we have a non-state that is smaller than Dunbar's number, 150, it's very easy to get everyone to sit down and discuss everything together. Everyone who wants to speak can stand up and speak, and then a decision can be made by the group. Obviously, if you have non-states that are larger than Dunbar's number, it's harder to do this, but not impossible. It just takes a bit more organisation. Another advantage of the non-state is decision making can be done in an open and transparent manner. Now, if everyone is able to discuss this and people can meet in smaller or larger groups and perhaps they can elect a temporary representative to put forward their views, then it's easy to reach decision making without corruption. And corruption is a massive problem of the state today. There's simply no getting away from it. Another advantage is there is no necessity for a police force with a legal monopoly on violence. Of course, violence sometimes arises between individuals, and rules are needed to determine what would happen if people transgress the rules, particularly if violence is involved. But these decisions can be made locally in non-states. The person who's transgressed the rules might be expelled from the state, or they might be given some punishment that is decided locally by the group and then agreed upon. Two of the disadvantages of non-state forms are that the options for work and for leisure are narrower than they would be in the state. But if you're willing to accept this, it's really not that big a deal. And the final point I'd like to make about this is that today the United Nations does not accept the human right of individuals to live outside the control of the state. We have to accept that if peaceable adult humans want to live outside the control of the state, they should be allowed to do so. This should be a basic human right. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Peace.